Welcome everybody, welcome to the Westport Housing Authority meeting as of June 18th, 10 a.m. This is being filmed and recorded, this meeting. So we're going to start with the call to the order by the management agent. Call by the chair to the management. Yep.
Okay, roll call. Tim Caton.
Here.
Liz Collins. Pauline Brodeur.
Here.
Henry Lanier. Here. All set.
Okay. If we don't mind standing for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to move the agenda a little bit. We have two wonderful guests here tonight. We have the chairman of CPC, Betty Slade, and chairman of the Westport Affordable Housing Committee, Craig Dutra. And we're going to have some discussion this morning regarding some potential opportunities for the Housing Authority. So if you two want to sit there and go from there, and then we can start. Thank you for coming, by the way.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I don't know if you want to.
I just like to welcome both of you here today, and there's a lot of opportunity, I think, in the town of Westport to talk about affordable housing, different opportunities and so forth. As far as the CPC is concerned, I know there were several email resources that you had sent me that I had an opportunity to review, and we are always looking to collaborate with the CPC to improve the property here at Greenwood Terrace. So I don't know, Betty, if you wanted to just give an overview of what the CPC's role is, and the different opportunities that perhaps the Housing Authority could avail itself of with the CPC.
So one of the, so I'm Betty Slade. Okay. One of the areas in which the Community Preservation Committee can recommend to town meeting for funding is affordable housing. And across the state, affordable housing has always been very difficult. It's very complicated, as you know, and especially for the Affordable Housing Trust. For the first few years when I was on CPC, we had a couple of projects, small projects, inside the Greenwood Terrace, but we were told by the Community Preservation Coalition that it was illegal for us to be doing those projects. At that time, Liz Collins was the CPC liaison or representative with the Housing Authority. She was probably chair of the Housing Authority at that time. So for many years, we never had any requests, we never had any communications, nothing. So it's bothered me because now for the last 2 years I've been the liaison to the Affordable Housing Trust, and I'm seeing what they do, etc. And I know that there is this public housing here, and I was just trying to figure out what CPC could recommend for the Housing Authority, and I went looking through the internet, believe it or not, and I found this letter, which I've given. Have you all seen the letter? It was written in 2013. It came from Elizabeth Hayer, Associate Director, Division of Public Housing and Rental Assistance, and it was utilization of CPA funds for preservation of existing public housing units. So I went and I looked at on the Coalition's website. They have all the information about every single project that's funded through CPA funding in the state. And I found that there were other towns that were doing things with CPA, CPA public housing. And so I contacted Craig, and I spoke with you. And both you gave enthusiasm about this whole project of perhaps finding ways to help fund the public housing. And I asked Craig if he would join me today and come here because they have and he can talk about that, but they have the capability to be very helpful to you. And that's the group that we've been financing for the last few years. So there are certain specific requirements in order to finance a public housing unit. It's mostly external, but I hope you have this paper. If not, has everybody seen this?
Yes.
Have you seen this? Yeah, okay. So it's interesting in for CPA we make the distinction between preservation and rehabilitation. And rehabilitation activities are not allowed, but preservation activities are. And what are they is one of the questions. Building envelope and site work to preserve the structural integrity of the housing, roof siding and window replacement to assure the water tightness of the housing, upgrading of dangerous electrical or plumbing services, replacement of dangerous building systems with threatened housing units, and installation of hardwired smoke alarms, sprinklers, and other fire suppression systems. So this is kind of, I think you get the idea that you have to be protecting. It isn't you can't rehabilitate. We can't put in new stoves and things which we tried to do many years ago. So I just wanted to share that with you and you think about it. And if you come to CPC, we take applications in September, starting in September. You have until December to apply. In January, we make our decisions, and it goes to the town, and the town looks at the finance committee and the select board look at the projects, get back to us, and then we go to town meeting and suggest these projects, as you all know, at town meeting. So I'm offering you this opportunity if you have the need here, and I turn it over to Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty.
And my guest is just arrived. Bob Barboza. Bob works very part-time at Town Hall for the Affordable Housing Trust as a contractor. And his responsibilities are to keep us running on time and on schedule, but also developing a lot of working with applicants for some of the different programs that we have. And he's been with us, what, 10 years, Bob?
11.
11, okay, time flies. And the other area that I was interested in, and I think I mentioned that to Paul the other day, is there's a lot of land here. And one of the things that we're looking for is developable land where we don't have to incur a large site acquisition cost to build affordable housing. And another area of opportunity, I think we just issued another RFP, and Bob can talk a little bit about it, for that purpose. It's very difficult, because we've looked at some properties, the market's doing well if you own a house and if you own property. It's not doing well if you're in the business to acquire property. And what we're trying to do is asking people to reply to an RFP that would ideally have them donate the property to us, but realistically is going to have a cost associated with it. And maybe 12 years ago we did our first major development. We did Nogachoke Village over on American Legion Highway. I think it was 55 units, 54 units. It's been an overwhelming success, but one of the reasons that we were able to do it, it was land that had come into possession of the town through tax title. There were some obligations that we had to fulfill. Some of the land was not developable. We were able to execute an agreement with the Westport Land Trust to have them take over a portion of the property for land preservation but I think the CPC has been pushing us, I would say nudging us, threatening us, no, the last couple of years, I'm saying that sarcastically, but really to take a look at larger scale projects. And so, Bob, if you want to describe what that one is a little bit in terms of what we're looking for.
Can I just say a comment? Actually, the CPA funding was used to buy the 7.5 acres.
Yes.
Yeah, at Noquachoke. The rest of it was tax related, tax liens and so forth. So, and the project, I think it was like 19 years. I mean, I remember Liz was heavily involved in that at the time.
It predates the Affordable Housing Trust.
It does, yes. Sorry, go
Hey,
ahead.
Bob.
The RFP that the trust has just issued seeks parcels of land at 8 or more acres that would have the potential to support multifamily housing. 30 plus units is the goal. We would consider, of course, any potential sale or donation of land for that purpose. We've had some interest from landowners, but nothing concrete is coming forth at this point. Of course, in keeping with the Trust's general goals, they would also always consider smaller parcels that have the potential for single-family or multi-family units. We just completed one two-family parcel on Sodom Road in cooperation with Habitat for Humanity. They're always looking for lots or small parcels that they could use to do small-scale projects. So basically, the trust is looking for any kind of parcel of land that is suitable for development, either large or small scale, and thanks to the CPA, we have earmarked funds that we could move quickly if land became available.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the question, in terms of the land here, is this something that you would work with the housing authority and it would be controlled and managed by the housing authority, or would that have to be something different?
I'm not exactly sure. I think a lot would depend on what you want to do. If this surplus land is accessible, if it's developable, your options could be either giving it back to the town, which could give it to us, or I don't know what rules and regulations govern your board. But
I was gonna ask basically the same thing, what would the, if we did, respond, for example, to the RFP, what would the role of the housing authority be? That's basically the question that was asked. Would we partner with you, or would we have to surrender the land, I guess is the question.
Well, the only example is Noquachoke Village, and that's run by the builders. And those are basically rented out. They're rental units. Is Greenwood Terrace a rental unit?
Yes.
Okay. So those types of questions could be answered once you submit something. We would go to town council. We would look at the experience around the state to find that out. We could find it very quickly. To take on the administration of a 30-unit building would be difficult, I would think, given all the responsibility you now have. But I think that can be worked out. There are no rules against the towns running these things if you're considered a town body. But you're a mixed town-state body,
Correct,
I suppose. So I think that can be worked out. We could look into that. How
So-
much
so-
acreage do you have here?
Excuse me. Would you say where the 30-unit number came from?
Sorry?
You mentioned 30, the sum of 30 units, right?
30 units is something he just mentioned, Bob Barbosa. He just said in the RFP up to, they hope the 8 acres would have 30, could have 30 units.
Would you have back up on that, Tom?
It's sort of just like the benchmark between small scale and large scale.
Is there a deadline to respond to the RFP, or is it open? Is it open-ended?
The deadline was maybe 2 days ago,
Oh, okay.
but we have the ability to consider proposals that come in after that date.
How many acres do you have that's not utilized here?
I would have to look at that off the
You
top
have
of
a
my
plan,
head. Sure.
yeah, you submit your plan with wetlands, that kind of thing. One of the things that we've discovered is that the people who respond generally have to have, there has to be other characteristics like transportation, that kind of thing that goes with affordable housing. And this is, of course, a very good, a good location as far as
Sure.
that's concerned. Does the town own the whole property?
The town does not own the property, no.
Okay,
It's owned by the Westport Housing Authority, you know, which is a quasi-public state agency.
Okay,
I know what a lot of housing authorities have done is they've formed, nonprofit affiliate
Right.
organizations to go out to develop. That's what we've done in Attleboro.
yeah.
And we have a project pending in Attleboro right now. That may be an option. The housing authority itself, I don't think could get involved with it, with any development. We'd have to go the nonprofit route. We'd have to form a nonprofit, which is not hard to do,
Well,
as an option.
would the ongoing maintenance and administration of the new units, would they be sort of all in one with the existing units?
Well, that would have to be worked out with whoever develops it. But again, these things take years to come to fruition, I believe, right? I know with our Attleboro High School project that we're in the middle of, we don't expect that to be wrapped up until, 2028.
What delayed it? Financing or getting approvals or?
Well, we're in the process now of doing all that. It's a 51 unit development. We're, repurposing an old high school building to apartments. And, we've had a nonprofit at the Attleboro Housing Authority for many years, but, we never, it was never activated. No one ever did anything with it. The city put out an RFP for the high school, for the old high school that has been sitting vacant for a long time. They've been trying to get rid of the building for years, no one wanted it. We partnered with a for-profit developer who came in, and so we're in the midst now of getting all the, there's historic, there's, we're doing the civil work, we're doing the environmental, we have an architect on the staff as well, that's doing a lot of this, so it's a very involved process. I would imagine it would be something similar if we undertook anything down here. I would imagine.
It'd be good to look at the property records and see wetlands, ability for septic systems. I assume you're in septic systems here?
Yes.
Septic system. And what my hope was that the Affordable Housing Trust could be of help to you, even if they are putting out the RFP.
Sure.
They could come in and you could see the experience with the community builders. Even the community builders may be interested. do you have to secure loans from the state? Did you have anything?
Well,
like that?
with the Attleboro project, we're doing LIHTC, low-income housing tax credits.
Okay.
And that's a very cumbersome process, particularly now.
Yeah,
The environment's a lot different. But we're in the middle now of, there's certain rounds that you go into, and
yes.
you usually turn down the first time you
Yes.
apply, because there's other
That's where the
projects
time,
in the queue. It's the
Yeah.
delay in getting, getting the actual financing. But there's many different opportunities to get funding. There's LIHTC, there's, CDBG funding, there's
Yes.
home funding. It's, to make these projects work, you
Yeah.
need just, all sorts of, different funding to come together. And that's what we're in the process now of doing.
so I'm wondering if the Housing Authority is interested in this at all. I'm not asking you to answer that now. And to go through these, the difficulties of doing affordable housing on this property, but it just makes sense if the property is amenable to it, and to either, to get a private, nonprofit builder to come in. It ends up, that's pretty good. And even to run it, it's the question of running them. Here, who runs the Greenwood Terrace?
The Westport Housing Authority, actually runs it, but we're managed by the Attleboro Housing Authority.
Okay.
I'm the director of the Attleboro Housing Authority, and we have
Okay.
a
So you're
management
managed.
agreement
Okay.
to manage Westport.
So you've got a good example here.
Yeah, so we've been here for, exactly a year now, and we've done a fairly good job.
Yeah.
And,
Good changes.
yeah, so, now that everything, in the office and everything is kind of stabilized now administratively, now, we're looking to do other things, and we know that affordable housing, not only down here, but all over the place is a huge issue, especially now.
Well, I'd like to make the point that in fact, since Nookwood Village was put together after a long period in process, among other things that happened in that line was a expertise grew up as a result of those 51 units of Nookwood. And now we can have a discussion about which financing issue can go for, and all sorts of things that really weren't very positive. They weren't really positive or possible for pre-Nookwood, let's say. And then Paul's group obviously it lends a lot of expertise to that. We've got stuff we can do, and people that are able to talk LIHTC talk, or authority versus a nonprofit. It's a tough journey, but we're ahead of the game. We're back in whenever.
What do you recommend we do for, a next step? What's your recommendation?
See if the property is amenable to development.
Okay.
And if you've got anything written on the Attleboro experience, that perhaps the Affordable Housing Trust, CPC could look at that.
Any surveys that might have done?
Any surveys that have been done of the
We might
land?
have some of that information in our files,
Okay.
our Leonardi might.
Yeah, Leonardi is another,
Of Attleboro?
Leonardi's another.
We looked at this way back.
You look here. Oh, okay.
I remember touring that land with Liz and some other folks. But,
The land back here, right?
yeah.
Yes.
I don't
Was there a
know how we got
conclusion?
there, but I thought we drove through the woods somehow and got to.
Was there any conclusion reached? Sorry, through the chair, is there any conclusion
I
reached?
don't remember.
It must be in the minutes.
Well,
Perhaps.
Leonardi is going to be present at our meeting this afternoon. he's made president, I think, virtually, but we can ask him to, because Leonardi, he's an architect, he's a consultant with us. He came to us as our first sort of consultant and was sort of oversaw the genesis of the Wilkwood project.
What's his last name?
Array, A-R.
Oh, I've worked with him.
Yeah, because he works in other communities.
Yes, I've worked with him on a number of projects. Yeah, I know, I can reach out to him also.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's our consultant. Now, have you folks ever discussed the possibility of expanding your footprint here, adding units, or?
They're not making any more public housing. So that's why we have to go the affordable route via, low-income housing, housing tax credits.
Yeah, our first step would be then to look at the assessors maps, the lots, see if there's any abutting parcels that could help us get to a different level. And
I don't want to speak for Liz Collins, but I know that she's tried for years trying to get something going on the land back here.
I've never heard of it. It's interesting.
Really?
No, I've been on CPC 15 years.
it was at least 10 years. I said it was at least 10 years ago.
Yeah. So the second aspect is what kind of legal arrangements would be available? Who would run it, who would take responsibility for building it? How would you work that out? You've got experience in that.
We would have to have that, that conversation.
Yeah.
We don't have a construction team
No,
at our
of course
disposal. That's why we had to partner with another entity to do the high school project. It might be something that we would have to do here as well.
Yeah, maybe you could check with the state officials to see if you in fact have the authority to give up a part of this parcel that you control, and what the process would be if it has to be a town meeting decision, if you would have to sell it or whatever.
Okay. Excellent.
So I think the state has a lot of control over what you do.
I would think so. Yeah.
And then, once we know how it could be done, then we could look at the site and think about perk tests and that kind of thing. Most important thing for us is access. If you're going to do a 30-plus unit development, you need good access. And about the location, it's not so much the amenities that make a project favorable. Those are the things the state awards points for when they're looking at your application. They're looking at public transit access to shopping, the job market, if there's work opportunities, etc. So it's more like when you're applying for the grants and the tax credits, those kind of things make your project more attractive.
Sure. Would you need a separate entrance other than here to get to access it?
I would think so.
I would think so too.
Yeah, makes sense.
If you're looking at 30, 50 car
Right,
trips a
exactly.
day,
Yeah.
you don't want them going through your...
Okay.
How many acres are here?
I would have to look at the map to get the exact amount.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll check the assessors records first thing to see what it looks like, where the wetlands fall.
So for such a CPA project, we can help financially in these kinds of questions. I don't think it's been, if you come to the project, to the CPC and say, we need some financial help to hire people to do certain things, we can do that under the guise of affordable housing.
Okay.
But you could also go through the Affordable Housing Trust, because they have Leonardo Araya and people who have that experience first, and see if they can help.
I'm definitely gonna reach out to him, because I know him.
We're meeting with them this afternoon.
That's great.
Why don't you come?
Um,
Or it's online, isn't it also?
Yeah. We
Online,
meet at town hall, but you
4 o'clock.
have Zoom access if you choose to.
Okay, let me see what my schedule looks like, and I can do that, okay.
So the other question is, do you have anything here that fits the bill that you need? They don't have to be, you don't have to go one way or the other, you could do both.
Right, you had mentioned, you had mentioned siding,
Yeah,
you know, roofing, upgrading electrical,
Yeah, what's
plumbing.
listed on,
Exterior work.
it could be internal if it's electrical.
Yeah.
But it's mainly to preserve the building, just think of that.
Right,
And if some projects are just on the edge and we're not sure, we go to town council.
hardwired smoke alarms,
Yes,
that would be something we could definitely look into.
yes.
That stuck out to me.
Safety and preservation.
Okay, that's good. And you said that the application period opens in September.
Yeah,
The
the second
deadline is
Thursday.
December.
Yes, the second
Okay.
Thursday of the month.
Okay. No, I'm sure we can I can work with the board and put something together. to-
And there's
Request.
all the information you need online at the
Okay.
town website,
Excellent,
at the webpage for the CPC.
Good.
excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
This is very informative, I appreciate it.
Yep, very informative, yes, thank you.
Good luck.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks,
day.
everybody.
All right.
See you this afternoon.
Okay. Moving forward. First thing I think what we're going to start with is the election of board officers. And to my knowledge, the only election that we have is for the chairman of the board, correct?
Chair and vice chair.
Vice chair.
Right.
That being said, is there a motion on the floor to elect a chairperson?
I nominate Tim Creighton.
I accept.
Okay, okay.
All right?
Um,
Do you want to, we'll vote one at a time?
Let me see how we do this. So Henry nominated Tim,
Right.
okay. And then you say, are there any other
Is there
nominations?
any other nominations? Hearing none. It's a vote, right?
Yes.
Okay. Vice chair. Who has been the vice chair on record?
Andrew Ekstrom had been the vice
He's not
chair.
here. Would you like to be the
Sure.
vice chair?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, she accepts.
That was quick.
Okay.
Okay?
So Tim Caton is our chair, and
Yep.
Pauline Brodeur
Is
is
the vice
our vice chair. correct?
Yep,
What's the term of the office?
1 year. Well, till the next election, yeah, 1 year, really.
Yeah, we reorganize, well, as we found out, the expectation going forward is right after the town election.
Right.
I missed that the last month, so hence why we're doing it this month. Okay, cool.
Okay, all right? Now, moving on, number 4, approval of the minutes of May 21st, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, so moved. An approval of the warrant number 11 in the amount of $31,295.55. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is second.
I'm sorry, what's,
Approval of the warrant number 11 in the amount of $31,295.
second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm just gonna pass the warrant down
So moved.
there.
Okay? management agent report.
There you go, Henry. Okay, thank you very much. As per usual, your maintenance report is there. Again, and this is just basically an FYI to
Yeah,
show the board the different kind of work orders that get called in, and
yeah,
so last month there were 17 of them, so Dave was working on, so fairly standard month.
yeah.
Our financial report is here. We're in very good shape, our reserves are right around 65%, it's right where you want them. All of our budgetary items are, within range. There's no red flags. Budget guidelines for next fiscal year should be coming out right around Labor Day. So we should have some indication of what's going on. We suspect it's going to be a challenging budget environment in the coming fiscal year, just due to the uncertainty with Washington and so forth, and the increased cost with the whole migrant crisis and so forth, plus the economy slowing a little bit. So I don't think that as far as housing authorities are concerned, I don't think the state is going to be as generous as they have been in the past. But we're not going to know officially until the guidelines get released. And the interesting thing is, here in Westport, our fiscal year ends June 30th. So our fiscal 25 year is just about over. So the financial reporting that you have is through April. But we actually start our fiscal year before we know what the guidelines are for the budget. So that's good in a way, because when the guidelines, get released around Labor Day, we've already had 2 or 3 months of the new fiscal year, so you can kind of see where things are heading. So then we have to construct our budget, but you already have, almost a quarter in the books, so you can, you can construct a budget based upon what's already happened. So that's a unique situation for housing authorities that have a 6/30 fiscal year end. They don't have that ability if you're on a calendar year, for example, because you're anticipating. But we have that situation going on here, which is good. And then finally, the vacancy report. We've got we're holding with 2 vacancies. We're working hard on the CHAMP system to qualify people. Again, apartment 2F required a lot of updating, a lot of rehabbing due to the condition of the unit, but we're making progress on that. So I anticipate by the fall, these 2 units anyway will be leased. Hopefully we won't have any more vacants, but you never know. They come and go. They ebb and flow, if you will. So we'll see what happens there. And just a reminder to the board, I'm not planning on having any meetings in July and August. Obviously, I will communicate through the chair, and then any resident issues or concerns, I can deal with the resident board member. We have a good working relationship, so we'll keep that going. So.
Excuse me?
How'd that happen?
Yeah. So right now, our next board meeting would be September 17th, tentatively.
Yep.
And that's all I've got.
Okay, is there anything else under new business, old business, or new business?
Actually, I have a question.
Sure.
The LIHTC, the whole conversation so far around expansion or renovation or whatever has assumed that it's being financed through low-income housing tax credits, right?
Well, that's how most of these affordable housing developments get financed, right?
Right. But with money internally generated and with some external money locally, is it not possible at all to
What's that?
Do it without it?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's possible, but it's a multi-million dollar
yeah.
undertaking. So, I mean, I don't know what the financial condition is of the Affordable Housing Trust, but I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say that they don't have $10 million sitting around.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to pull in, different financing options.
Yep.
Hence why everybody always goes, leans on the low-income
Yeah.
housing tax credit, because it gives a tax credit to the developer to build these things.
Yeah, sure.
Because keep in mind, the rents they're not going to be market rents.
No.
So the rents are gonna be lower. So to make the project financially feasible, you have to pull in many different financing options.
As you do with virtually any affordable housing.
Correct? That's right.
I take your point.
Okay. All right. How about any commissioners' comments? I guess we're into that right now. but-
Yep.
Any other comments? Nope. Okay. Tenants' comments? Any comments? You're on the floor.
What they were saying about the safety of the buildings, would that include the walkways, the step that you have to come down? Would that be considered part of the safety?
I think personally, it's gotta be all looked at before any answers can come out. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. but-
Yeah, we can bring that up. Keep in mind, they said that the application period opens the
September. It's September.
third week in September. We can, worst case scenario is we can put something together, we can send it in to the CPC and they look at it and say, no. That's the worst case scenario, but I would agree with what you said. When we walked around, there's areas that could use, some paving.
Yeah, because in my building, the step to come down, there's a big gap in it, like it's settled,
Right,
and it makes it harder to step down because there's no railings.
right, I understand. But I can certainly put that on the list, definitely.
Okay.
Any other tenant comments? Nope. Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded? Any questions? All in favor? Aye. So moved. Thank you very much for attending, and the board will see you on September 17th.